Imagine a creature that could change its color with its mood. You might think of a chameleon blending into the rainforest. But did you know there's a creature in the ocean that puts even chameleons to shame? Meet the pink seahorse, a tiny fish with a fashion sense as vibrant as its coral reef home. These aren't your grandma's seahorses, content with shades of beige and brown. No, these underwater dynamos rock the color pink, and not just any pink. We're talking hot pink, pastel pink, even a pink so bright it could rival a flamingo's feathers. But here's the real kicker. Their color isn't just a fashion statement, it's a mood ring on a fin. Feeling stressed? A pale pink washes over them. Excited about a potential mate? Bam, they're practically glowing in the dark. Talk about wearing your heart on your sleeve, or in this case, your scales. Now, you might think, a bright pink fish? Isn't that a bit conspicuous in the ocean? And you wouldn't be wrong to wonder. The ocean is full of predators with a taste for anything that looks remotely edible. But the pink seahorse has a secret weapon. It's a master of disguise. While they might not disappear completely like a magician's rabbit, their ability to blend in is nothing short of astonishing. Their vibrant pink coloration allows them to disappear amongst the equally colorful coral reefs they call home. One minute they're practically glowing, the next they're lost amongst a kaleidoscope of coral polyps and swaying sea fans. It's enough to give even the most eagle-eyed predator a serious case of the blinks, and if that wasn't cool enough, their bodies are covered in tiny bumps and ridges, mimicking the texture of the coral itself. Talk about taking camouflage to the next level. So, where do these masters of disguise hang out? You might be wondering where you can catch a glimpse of these elusive creatures. You won't find them sipping tiny cocktails in the Caribbean. No, they have a more exotic and specific taste in their choice of habitat. These pink wonders are denizens of the Pacific Ocean, specifically the warm tropical waters around Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines. These regions offer the perfect conditions for their survival and thriving. Think crystal clear waters, vibrant coral reefs teeming with life, and sunlight filtering through the surface, painting the seabed in shimmering patterns of light and shadow. It's a mesmerizing underwater paradise. It's the kind of place that makes you want to don a snorkel and jump in for a closer look. Imagine swimming alongside these tiny creatures, observing their delicate movements up close. And speaking of closer looks, you might be surprised by just how small these pink marvels are. Despite their tiny size, they are incredibly fascinating to watch. While some seahorse species can reach a respectable 8 inches in length, our pink friends prefer to keep things petite. They are the miniature marvels of the seahorse world. We're talking an average size of about an inch, maybe an inch and a half if they've been hitting the kelp smoothies. Their small size makes them even more endearing and intriguing. Basically, they're the size of your thumb, but with way cooler camouflage and a much better sense of style. Their ability to blend in with their surroundings is nothing short of extraordinary. Now, let's talk about seahorse reproduction because frankly it's one of the most fascinating things about these already extraordinary creatures. These tiny, delicate beings have a unique way of ensuring the survival of their species, and it all starts with the males. Forget everything you thought you knew about traditional gender roles because in the world of the pink seahorse, the dads are calling the shots. The males take on a role that is both nurturing and protective, turning the tables on what we typically expect in the animal kingdom. That's right, fellas. The male pink seahorse is responsible for carrying the eggs and giving birth to the next generation. This role reversal is not just a quirky trait, but a vital part of their reproductive strategy. Talk about progressive parenting. The female deposits her eggs into a special pouch on the male's belly, and he fertilizes them internally. This pouch acts like a womb, providing a safe environment for the eggs to develop. And we're not talking about a small brood here. The male's pouch can expand significantly to accommodate the growing embryos. Oh no, a single male pink seahorse can carry up to 2,000 eggs at once. Imagine the responsibility and care required to nurture such a large number of offspring. That's like carrying around 2,000 tiny, pulsating grapes. Each egg is a potential new life, and the male seahorse takes this duty very seriously. Talk about a serious load. For several weeks, the devoted dad cares for the developing embryos, regulating their temperature, providing oxygen, and basically acting like a walking, swimming incubator. He ensures that each embryo has the best chance of survival. Then, when the time is right, he gives birth to hundreds, sometimes thousands of tiny miniature seahorses. This birthing process is a remarkable event, showcasing the incredible dedication of the male seahorse. It's a seahorse explosion of epic proportions. The ocean becomes a nursery, filled with these tiny, delicate creatures ready to start their own journey in the vast underwater world. So, with all that pregnancy and childcare, you might think these dads work up quite an appetite. And you'd be absolutely right. Seahorse dads are some of the most dedicated parents in the animal kingdom, and all that effort requires a lot of energy. And you wouldn't be wrong. These little guys need to refuel constantly to keep up with their demanding lifestyle. Pink seahorses are voracious eaters, constantly on the lookout for their next meal. Their metabolism is incredibly high, which means they need to eat almost continuously throughout the day. What's on the menu, you ask? Well, it's not what you might expect. Forget fancy seaweed salads or gourmet kelp wraps. These seahorses have a much simpler yet highly effective diet. These guys keep it simple, dining on a steady diet of tiny crustaceans. We're talking copepods, amphipods, and other minuscule marine creatures that are abundant in their habitat. Anything small enough to fit in their tiny mouths is fair game. They are not picky eaters by any means. Think of it as the seahorse equivalent of popcorn shrimp, only much, much smaller. These tiny morsels are perfect for their small tube-like snouts. And how do they catch their prey? It's a fascinating process. They're not exactly built for speed, with their upright posture and lack of a tail fin. This makes them slow swimmers, but they have other tricks up their sleeves. Instead, they rely on stealth and surprise, using their excellent camouflage to blend into their surroundings. Their ability to change color and texture helps them become nearly invisible to both predators and prey. Then, when an unsuspecting crustacean wanders too close, bam! The seahorse strikes with precision. The seahorse strikes with lightning speed, sucking the hapless creature into its snout with a powerful gulp. This rapid action is almost too quick to see with the naked eye. It's all over in the blink of an eye, a bit like those nature documentaries where the crocodile leaps out of the water and snags a gazelle. Only, on a much smaller, pinker scale. These tiny crustaceans provide all the nutrients the seahorses need to thrive in their underwater world. It's a delicate balance of predator and prey, played out in the hidden corners of the ocean. Now, you might be picturing these seahorses as lean, mean eating machines. But here's the thing, they're not very good at it. They don't have teeth, so they can't chew their food. They just have to swallow it whole. And remember how we said they eat tiny crustaceans? Well, imagine trying to slurp up a bowl of moving, jumping rice with a straw. That's pretty much the struggle these little guys face every time they sit down, or rather, float up for a meal. They have to be incredibly precise with their aim, and even then, there's no guarantee they'll catch anything. Plus, they're constantly competing with other fish for food, many of whom are bigger, faster, and have actual teeth. So yeah, life as a pink seahorse isn't all sunshine and roses, or should we say coral and crustaceans. It's tough out there for a tiny fish with a big appetite and an even bigger challenge. But sadly, finding food isn't the only challenge these captivating creatures face. Their coral reef homes are under threat, and not just from the usual suspects like pollution and overfishing. Climate change is the real villain in this story, causing the ocean to warm and acidify at an alarming rate. And guess who's on the front lines of this underwater heat wave? You got it, our pink pals. As the water warms, the coral reefs bleach and die, leaving behind a desolate, skeletal landscape. Imagine a city suddenly devoid of all its buildings, parks, and cafes. That's what it's like for the seahorses and countless other creatures that depend on coral reefs for survival. And if that wasn't bad enough, ocean acidification makes it harder for seahorses and other marine life to build their shells and skeletons. It's like trying to build a house out of melting ice cream. Not exactly a recipe for success. The situation is dire, there's no sugarcoating it. Pink seahorse populations are declining, and while scientists are working hard to understand the extent of the damage, the future remains uncertain. Imagine a world without these vibrant, enigmatic creatures. No more dazzling displays of color-changing camouflage. No more dedicated dads carrying their young. No more tiny snouts sucking up even tinier crustaceans. It's a bleak picture. and one we can't afford to ignore. The fate of the pink seahorse, like so many other species, hangs in the balance. But all hope is not lost. Just as the seahorse dad fiercely protects his brood, we too can become guardians of these extraordinary creatures. We can support organizations fighting to protect coral reefs, reduce our carbon footprint, and make conscious choices that benefit the health of our oceans. The future of the pink seahorse, and indeed, the future of our planet, rests in our hands. Let's ensure that these mesmerizing creatures continue to grace our oceans with their presence for generations to come.